Broadcasting live from
Swamp.
It's TapTapConcede.
A white bordered 4th edition Swamp.
Yeah, all desaturated.
Oh. Like signs of gravel play.
Yeah, exactly. Like slammed on the concrete in a playground and turned sideways.
Or like
Mom,
one of
you
those
didn't-
cards where like the face looks pretty good and then you turn it over and you're like, ah!
Yeah.
Mom, you didn't check my pockets before you washed my pants, and my swamp is all washed
All
out.
my lotuses are stuck together in this clump.
Some play.
Some play. Heavily played.
Empty.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah. So, while everyone else is away at GP Vegas this weekend, you get the sideboard.
Again.
Holy
Yeah.
shit, we are the sideboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Hey! So
And Paul. Standing there vigilantly on
Yay.
camera.
he's in exile,
Yeah.
or the command zone.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Paul's
I
in the
think
command
he's
zone.
in the command zone.
Yeah,
He's
I
clearly
like
in the
this.
command zone.
Yep.
Sideboard pretty good.
So, I guess we should start with Crack Pack, shouldn't we?
Yeah, let's
And
get
introduce
right into it.
ourselves.
Oh, well, I
Oh, yeah,
suppose
who the
we
hell
could
are
do
we?
that. Okay.
I'm Serge. How's it going?
Fine purveyor of coffee and magical cards. I'm Alex, and this is
Cameron.
hey, we got there.
Yeah, we figured out how you do this.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Am I supposed to be facing this way?
I think so.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, let's get right into the Crack-a-Pack.
I'm excited.
So,
One time, no whammy.
actually, Serge, do you want
Yeah,
to
there we go.
All right, one time,
No
no
whammies.
whammy. I'm just gonna.
No whammies.
Did we take out the home?
Oh wait, they're in honor of GP Vegas. Come on,
Yep.
Serge needs a new set of goif. 13.
Lucky 13.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Pretty
8,
sure that
9,
roll would be
10,
highly
11,
suspicious in Vegas.
12, 13.
What is Tempest?
Legions.
Legions.
We almost,
Whoa.
Surge. Almost.
We dodged the
Almost-
fallen empire's
yeah.
bullet.
Dodged the Fallen Empire's bullet. All
That's
right.
good. That's good.
This is
Okay,
exciting.
so Legions, given to us by Utilitarian at PAX.
Thanks,
Nice.
utilitarian.
Let's see. Does this one have any flavor text?
Big money
on
rustlers.
on the pack? Ah, yes. Published by Wizards of the Coast. Incorporated. P.O. Box 707, Renton, Washington. I remember this set now.
Oh, so flavorful.
Oh,
And it has Phage on the cover.
oh.
All right.
Does that mean we
Legions
lose?
was in the set where it was the creature exclusive set, right? All right. Well,
Wait,
actually,
what does all creatures mean?
Uh,
No
Yeah.
spells?
What?
Like no instants or sorceries?
I think it was. They may have been very limited, but it was basically all
Creatures matter set?
All
yeah.
there's all creatures. This is every single card is a creature.
What?
Whoa.
This is a dark spot in my magic knowledge. I had no idea.
I mean,
Also
they
slivers.
they came up with all sorts of creatures that come into play and like
do
it's
things.
that's where not invoke the creature thing that makes when they come into play they do something or sack them.
That's Evoke.
Evoke, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's not from this set, is it?
All right.
This is the
so,
sliver set, though, right?
All right.
opening up. We have Defiant Elf for 1 green for a 1/1 with trample.
I mean,
What do we call that? It's like vanilla plus. It
Yeah.
meets our
French vanilla.
basic math.
math?
French vanilla. You made me
So, like,
laugh, and then I made a drug thing.
This is, I guess this is basically Charging Badger with a relevant creature type.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what it is. It's like maybe if you have some way to buff this guy, he becomes
Yeah.
smashy.
This
guess-
elf looks pissed. Look at that
Yeah,
art.
It's like,
look
I'm
at
gonna
this
get
guy.
you.
This guy carries, like, Sword of Fire and Ice real well.
He does. Well, I mean,
Batterskull.
almost anything carries that sword very well.
Combo with Batterskull.
Yeah. I was going to say like a germ token carries it well.
Embalmed Brawler for 2 and a black.
They had some good art in this.
A
set.
zombie, a 2/2 zombie with Amplify 1. Amplify is, as this card comes into play, put a +1/+1 counter on it for each zombie card you reveal in your hand.
What?
And it also features
Ooh,
the text.
ooh.
Whenever Embalmed Brawler attacks or blocks, you lose 1 life for each +1/+1 counter.
Honey,
on it.
no. Honey, no.
I have never heard of this mechanic. I have never heard of Amplify.
Oh yeah, Amplify was like big with. There's a few Amplify zombies. I don't know if. I think they might have done it with dragons as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty goofball.
You guys made this setup.
Yes,
We're
Yeah.
we're punking you.
this is a joke, and you're punking me. And you're like, duh. Everybody knows about Legion, Surge.
Yeah, God. All right, next up we have Daru Stinger.
Oh, look,
for 3
another
colorless and a
Amplify card.
white. for a 1/1. All right. Go on. Amplify 1. As this card comes into play, put a +1/+1 counter on it for each soldier card you reveal in your hand.
Okay.
Okay.
And you may tap it. It has the ability tap. Daru's Stinger deals damage equal to the number of +1/+1 counters on it to target attacking or blocking creature.
Yeah.
That guy looks like he's in Mad Max, though.
Well,
Yeah.
or maybe he's trying to be Spider-Man really hard.
Like right
Yeah.
now, he's just like, witness!
Yeah, I don't know. I guess this guy blocks
Yeah.
stuff okay.
So here's a guy who was like,
Ooh,
I think he barely didn't make the cut, although Mac has tried using this guy in Goblins.
okay. So next up we have Goblin Grappler for 1 red, giving us a 1/1 Goblin. With the ability Provoke. When this attacks, you may have target creature defending player controls untap and block it if able.
What?
So, I mean, like, it's maybe not too bad. It's like, you want to swing in with this guy and, like, I don't know, the 1/1 guy who makes Goblins go...
Oh, right. Lackey. Goblin
There
Lackey.
you go. Yeah,
You
it's
want
like
to,
you fight with
sneak your
this and Lackey,
through.
and they're like, "Oh, geez, I'm gonna get hit in the face with this, aren't I?"
One-time shot of unblockable. You're like, I'll trade you for something more useful.
The Killmouth Dragon is the that's the Amplified
okay.
Dragon.
Oh, okay.
He's also the only Amplified card that's actually been reprinted. He showed up in Arch Enemy and he showed up in Dual Decks, Knights versus Dragons.
Well, see, he seems fine in the dual deck because then you have tons of
Yeah.
dragons.
Yeah.
you can
Is
do.
this the timmiest card I've ever seen?
It's pretty Timmy. Excuse me.
Comes in with a +1/+1 counter on it
Like-
for each dragon card you reveal.
Well, I mean, they
Yeah,
have a reveal dragon mechanic in
Well, they brought it back.
Yeah.
Dragons right now, and they
But
just didn't call it Amplify.
It's like, play this 7-drop dragon, reveal 2 other dragons, and he comes in as
It's
like,
an 11/11.
yeah, and you're like, okay.
That taps.
Yeah, Killmouth would be quite nice in the current set.
Yeah. And then tap it to do 6 to something.
Well, ugh.
My favorite thing every time they have any of these tribal things is Changeling.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Is a great little utility, and that was one of my favorite things in the original Modern Masters. Was all the rebel. They had so many different tribal things, and you could just sneak in these great Changeling cards for added value.
like you could take the flying changeling fairly early on and stay open.
It's like, for those of you who don't know what Changeling is, it's a keyword ability?
Well, it is. No, Shapeshifter is the creature type, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's a
then
keyword
change-
ability that this permanent has all creature
Yeah,
types.
it counts as all creature types.
So, like, Mutavault, Taurian Mauler, I think.
Yeah, our examples
Stuff like
and
that,
an
so it's
avian,
like-
avian sky shifter, I think
Yeah.
was the name of the 2/2 flyer
Which
for
is
3 from
sometimes
Modern
super
Masters.
sweet because it counts as every single creature type. Anything that specifically references that creature type, it works for.
Yeah.
So it's like you can use the Goblin Tutors to find it. It can be like, I don't know.
Well, it
a
works really
soldier
well.
for
Yeah,
pumps.
if you have a Lord deck, if you're playing goblins or elves or merfolk, the Lords will boost it. And defensively, if they're playing a Lord deck and they're attacking you with boosted creatures, your own changelings will get strong enough. Okay, it's called Avian Changeling. Yeah,
There you go.
Your own creatures will become big enough to block it.
Yeah. It's a good presence in Tribal Matters sets.
It's almost like creature fixing.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good description
That's
of
a
it.
Yep.
really, really, really good description.
All right. 5th card in the pack.
What do we got?
Hundrug. For 6 and a green, giving us a 4/7.
Okay.
With cycling for 3 colorless.
Well, at least you can get rid of it.
Yeah. Touche.
Have I ever told you how much I love the basic land cycling?
Yeah.
Basic land cycling is a sweet mechanic. Is it in
Yeah.
this block?
I don't know.
I
But
feel like it's in this vicinity.
Instant draw for 3 in green.
Yeah, and you're
Okay.
like, oh man, I need an answer.
Yeah, basic
Yep.
land cycling is sweet because it's 2 colorless. You pitch the card and you go find a land of the relevant type, like swamp or mountain or plains, which finds duels.
Yep.
It finds Ravnica duels and original duels. So
Oh, everyone. It's everyone's favorite card that
What-
was reprinted in M15.
what?
1 blue for a 1/1. Fugitive Wizard.
That doesn't
It's got the
sound
wizard
like my favorite
sometimes.
card.
Yeah.
Mon's Goblin Wizards.
No, you tap this guy off of what's her name to draw a card and win and whoops all
Oh,
spells.
Azami.
Yeah, Azami, right? This is a combo piece.
Yeah.
Totally a combo piece. It's fine.
He's got some cool hair.
Many wizards
Yeah.
come to the Riptide Project hoping to return home with answers. Most, however, wouldn't return home at all.
The Riptide Project was the sliver breeding project, wasn't
Oh.
it? At Teleria?
Ah, okay.
And then, I mean, one of my favorite lands,
Speak
the
of the devil.
Riptide Laboratory. Laboratory.
It's very good.
Is it laboratory or laboratory? Am I a peasant?
I don't know. Are you
we
English?
say laboratory here.
Okay.
Get out.
All right. Next up, speaking of slivers,
Yeah.
Mistform Sliver. For 1 and a blue, giving you a 1/1 illusion sliver with the ability all slivers have for 1 colorless mana, this creature's type becomes the creature type of your choice in addition to its other types until end of turn.
Huh.
I suppose works in the limited applications we were just talking about stealing your
Maybe?
opponent's lords.
Yeah.
It's like maybe you can turn on some sort of like group pump. It's like all soldiers get +1/+1. It's like, and
Yeah.
I'll just like lord these guys. It's
Mhm.
probably pretty bad though.
Yeah. Peculiar. Needle Shop Gorna. For 4 and 2 green, giving you a 3/6 beast body. Needle Shot Gurna may block as though it had flying, so a 3/6 reach for 6.
This was back in the days where if you had a big creature, it had to have a downside, right?
Yeah.
This is not good.
Nope.
Some sort of
Oh.
fire shooter.
Flame Wave Invoker.
Wait,
for
wasn't this
2 and a
reprinted in-
red? Creature. Goblin Mutant. A 2/2 body. For 7 in red,
Wow.
Flame Wave Invoker deals 5 damage to target player.
Okay, so did they reprint these or did they do a fresh cycle of them in Zendikar?
This guy was in 10th. And he was also in the Elves versus Goblins and Jace versus Chandra.
Because
duel
I
decks.
swear in
Where? Yeah.
World Wake there was a cycle of invokers that were
I
the
thought they
same
were,
as this.
Like Rise of the Eldrazi, there was that really expensive tapper.
They've had
Maybe?
creatures that have abilities like that. And
Yeah, well,
even
it's
in Modern
always-
Masters 2, they had the creature, activate this ability 4 times and then add 8 red mana.
Well, the invoker cycle that I'm thinking of, it was the same thing. It had like a crazy expensive activated ability
Yeah.
that did something insane.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So it's
Yeah,
like
so yeah, they did a cycle of them in Rise, but there is also a cycle in Legions.
Huh.
So
Okay.
the cycle in Rise was actually a reference to the cycle in Legions.
oh, okay.
Okay.
Perf. Neat.
Wall of Hope
Aw.
for 1 white, giving you a 0/3 wall. Walls can't attack. Whenever Wall of Hope is dealt damage, you gain that much life.
Oh, neat.
There was a guy a lot like this in M13, I think. It was like a Leonin.
Where you just like gain life when it gets hit.
Yeah. It had it had the reciprocal of lifelink.
Well, I mean, it seems pretty good on the defense.
Yeah. I
I've
mean,
always
a
wa-
0/3 blocks,
Well,
yeah.
Not all day.
no,
Hardly
not,
all day.
not all day, but it
It blocks
will, like,
in this format all
it
right.
fogs all day.
Yeah.
All day fog.
I flicked my microphone. Sorry. I've always really enjoyed walls, which seems kind of a silly thing to say. Oh, my belly just moved. Pardon me. I've always really enjoyed walls, but I've never found a good way to make them good. I mean, Rise of the Eldrazi had some fun cards.
Yeah, with-
Tap to add green equals the number of defenders you have.
Well, and it also had the guy that tapped to ping for the amount of defenders in play.
Right. Yeah. There's been some really, really neat ones. But I mean,
It's like the Pillow Fort deck.
it's funny to say it's a passive strategy, but yeah.
Who's
All right.
this fresh young lady?
Vile Deacon for 2 and 2 black. You get a cleric with a 2/2 body. Whenever Vile Deacon attacks, it gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of clerics in play.
Cleric tribal?
Is
Not
her-
even clerics you control, clerics
Oh,
you play.
great. Also, get out of my brain.
For when I first thought, I thought her corset was a dude's face, but then it turns out that she's just like
Maybe like it looks kind of like she's an elaborate headdress on this dude.
Yeah.
Just the way that like the tangents work out.
Yeah, no,
It's
it's
like, do you like my new hat?
yeah, this guy has a weird hat.
Either that or it's like deep scalp massage.
Yeah.
or she has a very face frumpy belly button.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Oh God!
Maybe she's just done
if
too
you
many
if
crunches.
you if you like squint a little bit, it looks like her arms are going way down. She has a super wide skirt and like a mutated torso.
Well, that's what I
Yeah.
thought from the
I'm
other side.
freaking out here.
I kind of got it from the side.
This is some weird art.
you know,
Yeah.
don't do too many sit-ups, or else you're gonna get old man frump belly.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe she's had some weird surgery.
Quaid, start the reactor.
With that Wall of Hope thing, in M15 there was Wall of Essence,
Oh, okay.
which is a 0-4. So it costs one more, and it's a 0-4, but it does the same deal.
You get that
Okay,
one
but,
extra
like,
point of
I
toughness.
swore there was like a cat soldier who did the same thing.
It could be.
I
Maybe
remember.
in like M12. Anyway, it's not relevant. But
What's this?
next up, our first uncommon, Warped Researcher for 4 and a blue, giving a 3/4 Wizard Mutant. Whenever a player cycles a card, Warped Researcher gains flying until end of turn and can't be the target of spells or abilities this
Oh
turn.
God! Right, this was like a cycling matters block.
Right.
What a scary look. Oh, RK posted this one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's very weird looking.
I like that card a lot.
Yeah.
Gains flying.
Well,
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
gets-
like you can cycle at instant speed, right? So
You
this
just-
guy's really hard to remove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because it gets flying entrat, so it's like I'll jump this guy or like I'll defend him. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if you have enough cycling cards, maybe it's not so bad.
Yeah, a 3/4 body actually seems reasonable in this set.
Smashy, smashy.
Random, interesting ruling because of priorities and stacks and so forth. That I was just reading the Gatherer for this. So this is whenever a player cycles a card, he gains flying and shroud until end of turn. So if your opponent, if it's your turn, and your opponent cycles a card, and the act of cycling the card does something that targets this guy, it works
Okay.
because his ability that gets shroud goes on the stack first.
Oh.
Then your thing that
Oh,
hits
that's
him
so
goes on the
weird.
Because it's on
stack.
your turn. Because it's on
Yeah,
your
if you-
turn.
so, like,
Since
if
you're
you
the
s-
active player, even though they do it first, it goes active player, non-active player order, and then you always resolve the stack
My brain
from top to
hurts.
bottom.
Right.
So
you can-
so somebody can hit him with something. I'm assuming there's a
Decree of pain, maybe?
cycling card that kills something or does something bad.
Blah. Okay.
Not in this
All
set
right.
because it's all
Not
creatures.
not relevant. But
Hey!
That's great.
I know this
really
mechanic.
enjoy that story.
Daru Mender for 1 white, giving you a 1/1 cleric. With the ability Morph for 1 white. You may play this face down as a 2/2 creature for 3. Turn it face up anytime for its morph cost. When Daru Mender is turned face up, regenerate target creature.
Okay. For a while, I was gonna be like, why would you ever morph this guy?
Yeah.
But then, because
It's a
it
weird
does
looking
something.
armor.
Yeah.
Corrugated.
Yeah.
Swing!
Their
Looks like-
armor is made of cardboard.
Sweet.
Well, that lines up with a 1/1.
Yep.
All right. Okay, interesting.
The tech.
And our rare, Riptide Mangler for 1 in blue, giving a 0/3 beast.
This thing's ugly.
1 blue, or 1 and a blue. Change Riptide Mangler's power to target creature's power.
It doesn't change back.
Oh!
What? Oh,
Okay. Okay. All right.
okay. Neat.
It's like a really bad copy spell, but
Yeah?
But doesn't have the downside of most illusions at 2. I mean, Phantasmal Image is the classic.
well, it's a beast, which
Yeah.
is a very strange creature type to see in blue.
Yeah.
It wants you to be its chum. And you get it?
Oh,
Oh, it's a
Pun.
pun.
no, get
Because
out.
chum also means food.
That's
I play
ridiculous.
this for 1 in blue in this set.
I
Yeah.
kind of like it.
Yeah.
It's cute.
I mean,
Yeah.
you
And
want to put it in
horrible.
an aggressive deck because it could hit you because it's a 2-drop.
Yeah.
But you don't want to play it in an aggressive deck because
It's a 0/3.
it's a 0/3.
Oh well. Is that a
Are-
foil I see?
It is.
all right, Serge,
Okay.
you're gonna like this.
Am I? Okay.
This is the only time I've seen a Gatherer ruling that actually specifically mentions layers.
Oh no.
So, due to the new layering rules, the Riptide Mangler and equipment such as Bone Splitter
Oh no.
now make a much stronger combo. After attaching the Bone Splitter to the Mangler, you can activate the Mangler's ability
No.
targeting itself
Oh.
What?
to make its power 4. and then again to make it 6, and again to make it 8, and so forth. You can keep targeting itself. This is because the Mangler's ability applies in layer 7B, while the bone
No!
splitter applies in layer 7C.
No.
So it's basically its ability happens before its ability looks at its own power.
Right.
Oh, that's really.
I'm
before-
making this deck.
Yeah, you are.
Before the bone splitter adds +2 to it, so it can just keep adding +2 to itself.
There you go.
I am making this a Highlander deck as soon as I get home. The only downside is it won't work with Sword of Protection from Blue.
Yeah.
Because it won't be able to target itself.
Oh.
It's a target
So
creature.
So no
But
Sophie.
like grafted
Well,
war gear.
Sophie obviously goes in.
Grafted war gear. All
But
day.
War gear.
like this in Batter Skull. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh man! And the first time they're going to sit there and be like, "Does
What? It's
that work?"
Attack
like-
step, I quintuple its power.
Oh! You know what else goes in this deck? Just for the same thing is Myth Realized.
Ooh.
Just as these like, I have a ton of mana end of turn. I'm just going to sink everything
Oh,
into there.
man.
You didn't counter any spell? Okay.
Oh.
Or-
You should just
yeah.
make a deck that's nothing but like weird rulings on layers.
I have. That's what most of my prison decks have been. I also call
Yeah.
them rules.deck.
Nice.
I feel like playing that deck when you're a judge seems like kind of cheating.
So
It's like,
Okay,
it's like,
before
look,
we-
do we want a judge call on this? Okay.
before we go to our last one,
Hello.
I am often conflicted. I am often conflicted because I do have an advantage sometimes when it comes to rule things. And I've often had a moment there. I'm like, do I have an obligation as a judge in a tournament to explain a complicated rules interaction to my opponent before it goes down? For example, if I play a combo piece, if I have Grindstone in play and then I play Painter Servant, do I have to explain to an opponent, well, now that I've cast this, if you let this resolve, you're just going to lose?
Right.
Or, you know, and I've struggled with it. I mean, Painter Servant and Grindstone is a more commonly known one, but there are still players who won't get it.
Right.
And I struggle with that a lot, Paul, to be perfectly honest. So I often will look to see who my opponent is. And if it's a more experienced opponent and I know maybe my only chance of beating them will be those little, you know, you
Right.
often have to wait for a mistake to capitalize on something.
Right.
They'll be so evenly matched. But it's
you
tough.
show up at Highlander,
Yeah.
you take your chances. And that's not all.
Ooh.
We got a foil,
Oh boy.
which I think are super rare at this point in,
It's an
in
uncommon.
Magic history. Like,
This is interesting because the foiling is only on the border
yeah,
and the little
watermark.
watermark.
Well, not even watermark.
Well, not even watermark. Everything
nothing
else
on
is
the art?
non-foil. Yeah, the art is
Oh,
not
neat.
foiled, and the text box is not foiled either.
Yeah, it's quite handsome. It is a Chroma's Devoted for 3 and a white, giving a 2/4 cleric body, also known as a Pillar Field Ox. However, it has an ability. Attacking doesn't cause clerics to tap.
So clerics you control have vigilance.
No.
Wait, what?
Strike the you control part.
Oh, all clerics have vigilance.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting. I also like
okay.
that he has a selfie stick.
Yeah. Yeah, it's another selfie stick.
That's a big chopper.
So, wait. Does that mean that the set had both slivers and clerics with symmetrical abilities?
Slivers versus clerics.
Yeah.
And there's
well, I
an
mean,
elf
like
in there.
slivers are
And a goblin.
are symmetrical by design.
Yeah.
Clerics, I feel like, might have been a mistake.
Hmm.
Although I don't know, because like all the slivers, like most of the tribal stuff since these sort of blocks has been changed. So it's like creatures of this type that you control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and so. But slivers are like all slivers,
Yeah.
all the time, forever.
Well, before, I mean, they changed that in M13 or M14
Oh,
is when
yeah,
they
you're right.
reprinted
Yeah,
slivers. They
yeah,
changed
yeah.
slivers so that it wasn't both sides.
That's weird.
In one of my very brief forays into Legacy, I was playing slivers. And I had a match against a Merfolk player, and both of these lists include 4 of Mutavault.
Right.
Oh,
And it
no.
was really interesting because our Mutavaults were both Merfolks and Slivers.
Yeah.
And so they were these enormous presences on the board that were perfectly even against one
But
another.
Merfolk lords aren't symmetrical.
They were at this time because this was old Merfolk lords are symmetrical.
Yep.
Like Lord of Atlantis?
Yeah, Lord of Atlantis, I
is
believe.
like all merfolk.
And it wasn't until they started printing some of these new really powerful Merfolk. Wow, I slurred
Oh,
a little
wow,
bit
it
there.
is too. Okay.
That these effects stopped being symmetrical, much like the new slivers.
Right.
Big thing was the big thing with the old lords is they didn't used to be They didn't used to be merfolk.
Yeah.
And
Like-
they wouldn't buff themselves.
Right,
Yeah.
they wouldn't buff themselves, whereas now they are the type that they
Yeah.
buff, but it just says other
Yeah.
things of this type.
Yeah.
So it's still weird that they don't buff themselves, but the wording is different.
I mean, yeah, there's some creatures that will pump themselves, like, was it Zombie War Chief, which has like a really teeny body, except that it pumps all zombies, including itself.
Yeah.
And you sort of figure that
It's
into the
weird.
cost.
Yeah. So you're like a 1/1 for 4.
But I mean,
oh,
Lord
wait,
of
it
Atlantis
gets
is
plus
already
2 plus
amazing.
1.
A 2/2 for 2 and a Lord?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you glance at this guy and you're like, oh, this is terrible. Oh, wait, he's a 3/2.
Yeah. So what's the first pick here?
I take this guy.
Yep.
I take this Riptide Mangler.
Fair.
I don't care that there's no equipment in the set.
Yeah.
I take Serge's Riptide Mangler.
No! For real, though.
I think I'm curious about Warped Researcher, even though I know there are no counter spells in this set. If we're drafting it,
I mean, maybe the Vigilance Cleric?
yeah.
It's
Like,
like-
do we go for Cleric Tribal?
You could try to force Black-White Clerics, because I think that was a Black-White tribe.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah, we have the other Cleric right there.
well,
in
we've got
the-
3 clerics in this pack.
It's like maybe you
Only
rip
one
this,
elf.
you take this Vile Deacon, hope that the white stuff wheels or something.
How
Yeah.
slow is this format? Do we ever activate Flameweave Invoker for
Maybe?
8?
No, all these creatures are
Like 8
quite
mana for a
small.
lava axe maybe is fine in this format.
Like,
I don't know.
Instant
Normally-
speed Lava Axe.
Normally, you would be able to look at a card, like a 7 mana green common, right? That should give you a gauge for what kind of power toughness to expect in this format.
This, it's 4/7.
4/7. This format is going to be miserable.
It's 4/7 full stop. Does it have an ability? Yeah, it's cycling.
Yeah.
In our pack, we have 5 1-mana 1/1s.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry. We have one of them is a 0/3 wall.
Sweet.
Right.
there's no counter spells in this set, but there is the Void Mage Apprentice.
Whoa.
Oh,
So you can counter a spell for 4.
Right.
Look at that art. Man, that Sea Demon is...
Actually, with all these like 1/1s going around, Morph is really strong.
You get a 2/2 for 3.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Weird set.
You just like play all the morphs and never unmorph them. You're just like the mono Grey Ogre deck.
Yeah.
2/2s for 3, and they're like, I can't beat that 2/2.
Like, god damn it, man.
All right.
I am so happy with this card.
Serge,
Yes.
how'd you like to talk about some really good cards?
I
Yeah.
would, like
In our-
Riptide Mangler.
How do you feel about a change of pace?
Really good cards in a really good format.
Yeah, so we're going to move on from the Crack Pack into our main discussion for this block, or for this podcast, which deals with Alex getting to the finals of our local Highlander tournament on
Yeah, he
Monday.
did. Yeah, he did.
All the
Almost
way
got there. This was
with a rogue brew.
It's a little bit of a rogue brew. Yeah, like part of what attracts me to Highlander in the first place. We should probably explain what Highlander is first.
Yeah, okay, let's
because it's
let's
not
start-
EDH.
Yeah, let's start with that.
No.
What is Highlander?
Highlander is, and this is going to be redundant for people who have seen this before, but I love it and I always want to talk about it. It's a 100-card singleton that is different from Commander.
Yeah.
It is different because, A, there is no Commander, and since there is no Commander, there is no Commander color restriction. You are free to build whatever you want. You're free to splash any colors you want. The second reason it's different is the way we play, there's no banned list. Instead, we have a points list that restricts our metagame. Any card that we think is too powerful or any card that has become a problem, we as a community assign a points value to it, and there's a limit to how many points you can put into your deck.
So yeah, you can play these super powerful cards, but you can only play so many of them.
Yeah.
2 other large differences between EDH and Highlander. 20 life.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Uh,
no commander damage.
And the
then-
really big one.
And the really big one is that it is a head-to-head format, not a multiplayer format.
Yeah, there's
So functionally, EDH has much more in common with Vintage than it does with Commander.
I guess. I mean,
Highlander has more in common.
Or Highlander.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, excuse me. Highlander has much more in common with Vintage than it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Than it does with Commander.
And it's vintage legal in that.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
play.
you can play
Power,
Black Lotus.
and
I mean,
people do.
Not many people do.
Not
but,
many.
Well,
but they do.
but
Yeah.
the fact that in a relatively small community of 30 players in
it's
Victoria,
probably more like.
I think it's
don't
bigger
know.
than that. The community's probably 50, and
50?
then we have
several Lotuses.
I'd say 3 or 4.
And then
At least 3 or
also
4.
Moxen.
There's a
Lot of Moxes in our
Well,
format.
one of the things we did to try and make the format more accessible to everybody is we have access to gold bordered Champions editions as well as collector's edition card.
Oh, I was so happy
for
about
a
that decision.
fraction of a cost, you can play Power, and I mean, this isn't for everyone, but it's a very trusting community. If you've been in it for a long time, I've had people lend me Moxen, which is unthinkable.
Right.
You know, here is literal thousands of dollars that I'm putting into trust for you to play with today.
Yeah.
And that's a great gesture, just so you can play these cards that you never
Right.
hoped to own.
Right.
Yeah.
And like once again, those cards are controlled by a points list.
Yeah.
So how many points are in your deck, Alex?
I think I might be going with 6. You're allowed 7.
Yeah,
All right.
and this is an arbitrary number. Our community decided on that based on
Something.
random.
Yeah,
They're just like, seven's a nice
arbitrary, but
number.
7 seems good.
Yeah.
So
While you're talking, I'll try
Actually-
to pull out my points.
Alex's
Just
list
stall.
is posted at Tapped Out.
Yeah, I'll put the link.
And we will put that
on
link
here.
probably here. I guess James is going to put it like here, maybe, or maybe up there, or maybe on the side.
It'll be
You're
around.
just challenging him now,
Yeah,
so
or
he'll move the link
He's
around
going
on
to
you.
put it directly in front of my face. And it'll probably be in the video description as well, so you can
Yeah.
actually click it.
I like the rationale behind why we point cards. We point fast mana. So Moxen, Sol Ring, Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, anything that is too quick. We point tutors. This is a 100-card singleton format. So one of the challenges as a deck builder is consistency. So the perfect example is Lightning Bolt is very powerful. How many effects can we find that are functionally the same and to give you the same sort of experience as you would a standard deck that has been quite tooled? A tutor circumvents a lot of that problem and also allows for degenerate combos to become too powerful. So we point tutors quite heavily to try and keep the metagame healthy, or else everyone would play instant win combos.
Right.
The last thing we do is very, very high impact cards. Examples being Jite.
Right.
Umezawa's Jite is very, very powerful and can sort of crush a metagame and something like that. Or powerful draw spells. We recently pointed Treasure Cruise because
Yep.
we found that 3-point was too powerful.
Right.
And the opposite is Mind Twist. That kind of hand attack was too powerful. So that's the sort of rationale behind why we point cards. But any metagame can create whatever, or any community can create whatever metagame they want by changing their own points list, or even creating a band list if
And
they'd
we
like.
can actually probably also just post a link to
To
the Victoria
forum.
Magic.
Yeah, it's on
Yep.
Facebook.
And
It's-
there's a great resource, Canadian Highlander. Some guys in our Victoria community are really doing a great job of pushing and explaining the community, and we should link to their work as well.
Seriously, this format is so good. It's so good.
So, Alex, why don't you tell us a bit about the points in your? Well, okay. First off, why don't you you have a description of what your list is and what its design?
That's a way better
aesthetic
idea.
is?
Yes. Okay. So, my
Just
deck.
value.
Yeah, Value Town. My deck is Schnitzel midrange, also known as Mardu midrange. So it's black, white, red. It's basically Jund playing white instead of green. So it's sort of like midrange makes it a sort of like aggro control deck. Like it's not as slow as a hard control deck. That's like, ramp a little bit, wrath everything, then slam a huge creature. This is more sort of like it's a very fast-paced, a brisk-paced control
Right.
deck that wins with like 3 and 4 drops.
I like to think of mid-range, instead of cards having synergy, each card is as powerful as it can be in its slot while still having a curve.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're not assembling multiple pieces to try and put something powerful. Every card is just value.
Right.
Yeah.
Value.
Whereas,
You-
like you can think of Jund as being the deck that plays nothing but 2-for-1s.
That's definitely part of the philosophy of this deck. Is just like you want to win the top deck wars if
Yeah.
it ever comes to that, and the colors that I play also give me access to a lot of the best disruption that I have. Like I have all the good hand attack spells.
I believe
Like
one of the
in-
only instant speed hand attack spells. in the
Actually,
game.
yeah, like my suite is like Duress Inquisition, Thoughtseize, and then it gets into stuff like Tide Hollow Sculler, Sin Collector, Blightning, Rakdos Return,
Mind Twist,
Mind
Hymn to
Twist,
Turak.
Hymn to Turak. Like Gerard's Verdict. You
Man
know,
of
you start
Steel.
going pretty hard because you want to keep a density of like those themed spells.
Right. So on
it's
one
like,
hand, you are trying to play like only the best cards in each slot, but you also need the consistency.
yeah, so you sometimes end up playing stuff that's like not incredible. Like you play the best hand attack, and then you play the second best hand attack, then you play the third, and maybe fourth and fifth, and then you play the bad hand attack sometimes. I try to keep it as tight as possible.
I like the math in Highlander of, okay, I want to make sure I have one hand attack spell every game.
Yes.
And I know roughly how many cards I'm going to see every game. What sort of density do I need to make sure I can achieve that goal?
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the idea with like my deck roughly consists of disruption, removal, and then just like value creatures
Okay.
and planeswalkers that just sort of win the game. So it's like whereas Jund would be winning the game with like Tarmogoyf, I win the game with something like Rabble Master and or King Kitty,
Okay.
Brimaz.
Brimaz.
So why don't you tell us a bit about, well, we've talked about points. Why don't you tell us what points you have in your list?
Well, in my list, we have 5 cards, which is 6 points worth of pointed cards. I
What's
could be
your-
playing a 7th, but I haven't figured out what I want
What's
to
your
put in here.
2-point card?
My 2-point card is Demonic Tutor. So, best example of a really powerful tutor. This is like go and find anything. Anything. Any card you want. You don't have to reveal it. Just like dig through your library, find something. So this is kind of a silver bullet. It's like it doesn't matter what situation I'm in, even if it's like I'm screwed on land turn 2 and I need a swamp. Or it's like turn 57 and I need like bonfire or
I
something.
just need to win right now.
It'll find it.
My inside, there's a great inside joke in the Victoria community. Every time somebody casts Demonic Tutor, you're like, and they go like, hey,
Something to ruin your day.
All right.
So following in that theme, I have Enlightened Tutor, which is a little less powerful, but a little faster. It's 1 white for an instant. You search for an artifact or enchantment and put it on top of your library. So this, you're generally casting like end of turn to put it on top to draw it on your draw step.
So are you searching for equipment here?
It's primarily for equipment. I just put in Spirit of the Labyrinth and Bitter Blossom. Also, in a pinch, it can go find Tidehollow Scholar.
you've done that against me
Right.
Yeah.
numerous times.
It's like the turn 1 Enlightened Tutor to get Tidehollow Scholar on turn 2. And I can do this play as well. So it's like if I know the matchup I'm against, it's like if it's combo, I have to hit their hand. If it's like blue, I should probably shut down their draw engine.
Right.
So it helps with that.
Okay.
Stoneforge Mystic.
So
Another really, really good. Like this card's stupid.
So this is an example of the 2-for-1s or the X for ones, basically.
Yeah, this is a 2-for-1 and a tutor and a way to play around counter spells. Because like you play it,
just so good.
yeah, it finds an equipment. So I have 4 pieces of equipment in my deck: Jite, Batterskull, Sword of Fire and Ice, and Sword of Feast and Famine, which are all basically the highest top end equipment.
That would be the equipment that you would see in Esper Stoneblade in Legacy.
Yeah, I think they play most of those ones. In fact, I think they play only those ones. I don't know if they play Batterskull.
You'll see Batterskull. I don't think you'd see
Maybe it's in the
Feast
board?
and Famine.
Yeah, I think Sword of Feast and Famine isn't in, and it's Sophie, Batterskull, and Jite.
Yeah, Sword of Fire and Ice is the best the best sword because you never miss with it.
Yeah.
Because all 5 swords have like they have 2 abilities that trigger when you hit something. And Sword of Fire and Ice is the only one where you can always get value.
Yeah.
Like even Feast and Famine, if they have no cards in hand, they can't discard anything.
Yeah.
If you have no creatures in the graveyard, sort of Light and Shadow doesn't regrow a creature.
Right.
And if you have no cards in hand, untapping your own lands is often
Yeah, it's
kind
like
of useless.
sort of Body and Mind never
Actually, always
misses, but
sometimes
it's like
you don't want to mill them.
No.
it's pretty bad in Highlander. But sort of Fire and Ice, you always get a shock, which is always going to be good, and you always get a draw, which is always going to be good.
Right.
It's also 2 of the best like colors.
Yeah.
It's too bad. Body and Mind is one of my favorite cards. I tend to lean towards wanting to
Sort
mill
of Mill and
people.
Bear.
Yeah.
Sort of Mill and Bear, and and it makes me sad because also green and blue are such powerful colors. To have protection from both of those,
Well,
is
yeah,
pretty good.
protection from goyfs.
I know, and any bounce spell.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I remember Sword of Body and Mind. I used to remember telling people, "All right, son, you're full of puppies, and that ain't right. We're gonna cut them right out of you."
Nice.
What?
Well, you get a wolf.
It's
A
true.
2/2 wolf, right? You hit someone and a dog falls out.
It's pretty weird. So
I do think the
I'm
idea
not
of a-
making this
I
up,
do think
Serge.
the
It's
idea-
right there on the card.
I didn't
That
even
is
think of
what
it
is-
that you
that is-
cut a person and a dog comes out of them. I
That is
never.
literally what happens.
Yeah, it
they are
is.
full of dogs,
And
you have to
and we're
pair the
getting
dogs.
them out.
The face is because this never occurred to me.
magic
Look, the
colloquialisms.
man across the table from you is full of dogs,
And
and,
you
that
need to-
ain't right.
So we'll just trim a few of those.
Yeah,
You just made my week.
the person across the table,
person.
excuse me.
Sorry. Anyway,
The wizard.
The wizard. Stoneforge Mystic is also really good. There's a reason they banned her in standard.
Yeah.
Because like the second ability
And
lets
modern.
you and modern lets you cheat an equipment into play. So like this can just do dumb stuff like
Turn
find
3
batter
Batterskull.
skull, turn 3 batter skull.
Yeah,
But even if that's not the case, you're either like playing it for a song at end of turn. You're also playing around blue because like they can't counter your activated ability unless they have stifle, and there's like one card that does that. Maybe two if you're
Plain
Well,
void
it's
if
Slime.
you're
slime.
Matthew
Skilled
Greer
mage.
and you're
Yeah.
playing all 3 stifles.
well, there's Stifle, Azoria Skilled Mage, and
Void slime.
Void.
There's Void Slime, there's Squelch
Yeah.
and Trick Bind.
There you can go pretty deep.
You can go deep.
And the reason this is also significant in Highlander is there is only one counter spell. Like that
Right.
spell as it exists, only one. And people will play a very hard control deck will play maybe a dozen, tops 15 counter spells, and not every one will hit creatures.
right.
So you'll often play negate because negate's quite powerful, but your Stoneforge Mystic can sneak through it.
right.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
like-
you're always wanting to, not only because it's cheaper, activate the sword because you can flash it at instant speed, but because they haven't countered your Stoneforge Mystic doesn't mean the control player doesn't have the counter spell for your sword or your
Yeah.
equipment.
So you just like get around that. Anyway, our last card in my points
wait.
poil.
You
Oh,
skipped
sorry,
Jite.
I skipped Jite because we talked about it earlier. Yeah, Jite combos with Stoneforge. It's really, really good. Like this is a card that can dig you out of a very deep hole, especially like in the aggro matchup. It's like they can be leaning on you really hard. You equip Jite, start accumulating counters, and then you just turn the game 180.
You don't even have
Which
to
is-
accumulate counters. You can just have it equipped and
The threat,
they
like-
can't attack
Yeah,
into you.
because the threat of it being there is sometimes enough. It's like my attacks are suddenly bad because if I swing in, you block, you get counters, you kill my team, or you gain like enough life to stabilize. So this is well within being pointed because it's so powerful. Like this was one of those like printing mistakes they made
Right.
because like I think the third ability might be the one that's the scariest. But I mean, we call it the all singing, all dancing Jite.
Right.
I sometimes hate playing this card because it's so stupid.
Well, it doesn't even need to be equipped to remove counters from it.
Yup. It can just be sitting there on the battlefield. It's like pew 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 pew. Just blow up all your guys.
It's true.
Speaking of fun police, Mind Twist.
Oh,
this card is so polarizing in our
It's-
format.
Yeah.
So one of the
We've
interesting
been back and forth on this.
One of the
haven't
really
we?
interesting things about Mind Twist is if you look at the reverse, if you look at draw spells,
Yeah.
at 3 mana, Mind Twist is a bad hymn to Turak.
Yeah.
right.
At 3 mana, it's
Right.
it's a slightly better Mind Rot. And then you look at the draw spell version of if you pay 2 colorless and a blue, you can draw 2 cards.
Right.
And in same way, if you go for 4, 3 colorless and an X, discard 3 cards at random,
Right.
there's the same draw spell, 4 mana, draw 3.
Right.
But nobody would think to point an X draw spell for the same amount.
Right.
At sorcery speed, especially. I mean, so it's neat.
It's weird. It's like
how
I think the thing that
personal-
makes this deck or this card so backbreaking is the random clause.
Yes.
Like if you got to choose the cards, it'd be like this sucks, but at least I can keep the thing I want. This is just like roll the dice
Yeah.
to see how screwed
Well,
I am.
For the example that I always use is that if you compare Mind Twist and you said for 1 red, it also fireballs for that X.
Well,
What?
I play that spell too.
However, there's the big difference between that is the random clause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mind Twist is backbreaking, and Rakdos Return never actually got played in Standard.
Like how that's the thing. It's so bizarre to me that
Tiny little changes in
Yeah.
the same, in what is essentially the same card can make it super busted or unplayable. It's literally like a difference of 1 mana.
Yeah.
Or like 1 word in a spell. This I still play because it's really good. The dream play for this is to blow up their planeswalker and make them pitch their hand.
Yeah.
I've done that before.
yeah,
Well,
it hurts.
That was kind of the dream play with Blightning, right? You dome out Jace and make them pitch to. So your points, I notice, are essentially 3 tutors and 2 busted-ass cards.
Yeah, pretty much. 3
That's
tutors,
pretty normal.
a disruption spell, and a actually no, 4 tutors. Or no, 3 tutors.
Your shorter card.
Yeah, 3 tutors, harsh disruption, and what the hell is this garbage?
Yeah.
But the thing is that like you'd think that this would be like horrifying to play, but it's like everybody else is playing the sort of like counterparts to these cards,
Right.
But it's all constrained how many they can use. So it's like I get to play Jite, but they also get to play like Mox. So it's like in balance,
Right.
And it's a good thing that we have the points list, because then you have to make really careful choices. Because if there was
Which direction,
was no ban list, I think the format would be terrible. It would be
Straight
like
vintage
it'd be Power
Lander.
9, and then like some sort of deck around it, and it would just be super busted. But it's interesting because the reverse also has an effect on the metagame.
Well,
because
yeah, because you said that the German Highlander
Yeah.
community has converged on a couple of lists.
Yeah, that-
depending on where their ban list is.
Well, yeah, it's weird because like I read Highlander is a hyper local format. It's played here in Victoria.
Yeah.
There's a variant in Australia.
Yeah, which I believe is 60 card singleton.
Yeah, and,
With a
and then
banned list.
another variant in Germany.
Yeah.
So it's very, very local. But the Germans, they have a ban list, which looks a lot like the vintage ban restricted list. So you can't play those cards. And their format is kind of solved. Like everybody
Right.
plays Bant, good stuff,
Yeah.
or 4-color blood.
Now we
Right.
commented on this last time,
Right.
and in the comments there was a player from that community
Oh, no.
who defended on it. He's like, it's not that stale. There is
Okay.
some variance,
Okay.
but
Okay.
when
I do see a lot of the
I know,
list,
I
though.
know. It does seem it doesn't have as much variance as we do. I think
Okay.
our metagame is very healthy, like
Okay.
very, very, very healthy.
So that is, I think, our defense of the points list.
Thank you, Paul, for putting up German Blightning.
There we go. Alex, why don't you tell us about some of the card suites that you have in your Highlander
card
deck?
suites. I'm just gonna go through here. Here, Sir, how about I give each of us a third of this deck and we can talk about it?
Now,
Okay.
what does a card suite mean?
Well,
Like-
it's just like stuff. So it's like we have
Like you have
Planeswalkers is like
Mhm.
I just cut to a Johnny Vengeance. So I have a Johnny Vengeance, Liliana, Elspeth, Sorin, Lord of Innistrad, and I think I just put in Chandra Pyromaster, which I really like because I have one of like every color and color combination represented except for
Yeah.
red black, because there's no good red black Planeswalkers.
This makes me kind of happy.
There's
The
only Sarkhan
stack
the
I went
Mad.
through.
So they're an example of just like super hard value. Like all of these have in common that you slam them and they can potentially win the game on their own,
So-
or they just like give you enormous utility.
So every creature I just pulled out of this pile can either win the game by itself, or disrupts the opponent. So I got Goblin Rabblemaster
Yep.
for 3 mana. It is phenomenal. It's a token generator and can take over a game if left by itself for too long.
That is definitely a theme in this deck. It's like
Yeah.
inflatable armies. Like a lot of the win cons are just like a hyper efficient threat that creates a larger threat the longer it stays around. Like
Yeah.
Bitter Blossom is in that theme.
Yeah, and then Brimaz
Yeah,
was right
Brimaz
beside
is
it.
in that theme. I even play Precinct Captain.
Yeah, yeah, that was my recommendation.
Yeah, I know.
love that
I mean,
guy.
it's like I'm a big fan of that guy.
And then beside it, I have 2 phenomenal enter the battlefield creatures in Flametongue Kavu and Sing Collector.
Yep.
And then hilariously right beside them both, I drew Restoration Angel.
right.
Just
The value.
just such a versatile card.
The value.
Right.
And then Falconwrath Aristocrat, and then Camp Past Me a Butcher of the Horde. And the hilarious thing about
Butcher's
this
so
stack
nuts.
is they're all 3 and 4 drops.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like we
So-
don't need a curve. I'll support my creatures with just efficient removal and disruption until I can play these extremely powerful 3 and 4 mana spells.
Well, the last time I believe that we saw a Mardu-colored deck really performing well in Standard was a deck called the Aristocrats.
Yeah.
Which
There's-
was based around
yeah.
a sack engine for Cartel Aristocrat and Falconwrath Aristocrat.
Yeah, there's a version of this list that's closer to that, but it's like a complete rethinking of this list. Like, I think
Right.
that this might be the most powerful, most consistent version.
Okay.
But I still end up brewing because I like brewing decks, and I like doing kind of goofball stuff.
Yeah, this isn't quite in the Aristocrats.
yeah.
The deck that's very similar to that is the archetype would be called Pattern Rector.
Okay, right.
It goes around Academy Rector and Pattern of Rebirth.
For Hulk. Right?
And then it gets Protein Hulk. I'll let Paul catch up
Protein
for a
Hulk.
second there. So Academy
Oh,
Rector
wait. Is Hulk Flash unbanned locally?
I think so.
kind of not really.
Okay.
It's extreme. It's not banned. It's extremely heavily pointed.
Okay.
So what happens is Academy Rector is a 4 mana human cleric, I believe, for a 1/2, and has this phenomenal ability that when it dies, go search your library for an enchantment, any enchantment, and put it directly into play. Pattern of Rebirth is an enchantment that enchants a creature when it comes into play. When enchanted creature dies, you may search your library for any creature and put that creature directly into play. And then Protein Hulk is the final part. The
Oh
problem
my
is this is like a 14-card combo. That
Right.
sounds very
Give us
convoluted,
the
but is
Cliff's
quite
notes.
powerful. Protein Hulk, when it dies, you get to search your library for any number of creatures and convert them on a cost 6 or less and put them into play. So what you need, and much like the
That seems fair
Aristocrats,
and
you
balanced.
need a sack outlet. So Cartel Aristocrat works, Falcon Aristocrat works. What's the 1 mana black creature that scries when you sack a creature?
Viscera Seer.
Viscera Seer is a classic one. So you need Viscera Seer and 2 creatures. And what happens is you sack Academy Rector, you get Pattern of Rebirth, and you put it on a creature. You sack that creature, you get Viscera Seer. No, pardon me. You sack that creature, and you get Protein Hulk, and then Protein Hulk you sack, and then the combo. I keep saying the word combo, even though we haven't quite hit it there. Revolves around Revelark and Karmic Guide. And those 2 cards have an ability that when they die / when they come into play, you can reanimate.
Yeah.
There's the
Right.
word reanimate. You can reanimate each other as well as an additional creature. So you get back Protein Hulk, and you constantly have this sack outlet, which is Viscera Seer.
Right.
That lets you recycle through this over and over until essentially you assemble Malira combo.
Right.
Well, there's Malira, or you can play it with like what is it, that blight beetle,
Or even acidic slime, or there's a number
Right.
of different ways. You just recur any creature that has an enter the battlefield effect.
Right.
And while it sounds convoluted, as soon as it happens, since everything is instant speed, since it's all sack outlets, it's very difficult to disrupt.
Right.
You want to try and disrupt the Viscera Seal itself, and you have to respond to the combo, but the deck has evolved at some point. And that deck, I feel, more spiritually succeeds the Aristocrats than sort of Alex's just getting incidental value,
Getting value.
out of sack
more
outlets.
of a
But
combo.
yeah, that one's a hard combo deck. Where this is, we're
Yeah.
really beating on the word value here. but
Yeah.
Well, let's see you combo through this.
the Aven mindset. sir.
I cut to my disruption suite, which I changed from the list that I 4-1 with last Monday. Not last Monday, the Monday before, I think. Or no, was
No,
it?
this
No,
is
it's
days ago,
okay.
yeah.
Sorry, I have no idea what day it is. So these are creatures that are like pretty decent on their own, but they have abilities that just like really hamstring your opponent. So
Yep.
Aven Mind Sensor is probably the most classic. It's 2 and a white for a 2/1 with
Right.
flash and flying, which is pretty good on its own.
Right.
If an opponent would search the library, they search the top 4 instead.
Right. So this Stone Rain's fetch lands.
Yeah, they go to fetch their land. You're like, in response, this guy, and they're like, look at the top 4. Fail to find.
My
It's
favorite,
harsh.
my favorite part about this card is the word would search a library, not
yeah.
their library.
So this hoses bribery.
It
Wait,
hoses
what?
Bribery.
What?
Yeah, if they bribery you, They can only search 4 cards of your
I
library.
didn't know that.
Wait, hold on. Could we go back
I
to Aven Mind Sensor
didn't know
for a moment,
that.
please?
Bird Wizard?
No, in the top left, the icon for creature.
Yeah,
Isn't that the Teamer icon as well?
maybe. This is a future sight card, so it's got a weird border.
Oh, interesting. I never noticed that.
Weird.
The triple claw mark.
Yeah.
So
Rebecca Gway. I had no idea.
Oh, nice.
Or Gay.
I think it is Rebecca Gay.
Yeah.
All right. I mentioned Spirit of the Labyrinth before, which is like a brand new addition to this deck that I have high hopes for. Fulminator Mage. It's like Stone Rain, but it's also a bear.
Yeah.
It can do one or both. And
We call it Bear Rain.
sometimes it's actually sweet because you like block Worm Coil with this guy, and then before damage is dealt, you just blow up one of their lands, and they gain no life.
Right.
So it's tech. And then the last thing that I think that we can go over with this deck is the removal suite, which is pretty stupid. Like you start with Vindicate,
Right.
and then you move to like Council's Judgment, and then stuff like Terminate and Lightning Helix, and just like this is like all stars, black, white,
Right.
reds, just like
The best removal
Best
that has
removal.
ever been printed,
Yeah.
including Lightning
Lightning Bolt, Path to Exile,
Swords to Plowshare.
Chain
Lightning,
Lightning,
And I,
Dreadbore. Yeah.
I think white gets you a stronger. What white has over green is its removal ability. I mean, green Goyf
Yeah.
is very hard to beat.
Yeah. Well, it's like white gets us into Council's Judgment, Vindicate.
Yeah.
Even stuff like Zealous Persecution.
Zealous
Because
Persecution's
all
really,
of the
really good.
all the removal in this deck is chosen to hit as many targets as possible. So it's like stuff like Terminate. It's like kill anything. No color restriction, no creature type restriction, like nothing. Just it's dead. It's the same for Dreadbore, which has the advantage of being able to blow up planeswalkers too. And then anything that doesn't kill any type of creature is like a burn spell, which has additional utility, where it's like either it's blowing up a creature or it's
Going
blowing
to
up
the
a
dome.
going to the face. Yeah, go
Yeah,
to the
well,
dome,
you're
or
never-
hitting planeswalkers too. So it's like it has the flexibility there.
You're never sad to top deck a Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, I mean, unless they have some sort of like weird combo in play, in which case you're losing anyway. But ripping Lightning Helix off the top is always pretty sweet. So, and then there's just like miscellaneous cards in here that are just so good that you can't not play them, like Deathrite Shaman, Dark
You don't even need
Confidant.
green. You don't even need green for
You don't
Death
need
Ray.
green.
Did the sack combo you had with Kitchen Finks and Murderous Redcap survive this? Is it in this version of the
It's
deck?
not. No, it's not in this version. That's like a completely different deck, and I
Okay.
have like a full list for it because
Okay.
it's all in on that combo. This is
Right.
This is my sort of like fun brew.
Oh, is that
Because
different
it's so
art?
sweet. Is it?
Well,
No.
there was a promo art, and then there's the Lorwyn art.
Have I just never
not
understood
Lorwyn,
what's going on? That it's like weird little creatures
Yeah, you
eating
didn't see
sugar?
that? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
See, like, yeah, it's a little clearer in the promo art, but if you go back, yeah, they're just like eating all the flour and sugar and stuff.
What?
Yeah.
I honestly thought that it was some weird big sideways creature.
Really? No,
I
see-
have played this card for a very long time, and I have just now realized what
Yeah.
I'm looking
Oh,
at.
no, wait,
Yeah,
that's-
it's stealing
that's-
all
it's
their
milk.
Yeah, it's drinking all this.
And that
person's
guy's got
milk.
like a
He's eating a French knife.
he's eating it. He's actually taking a bite right out of it.
Yeah,
That's insane. And the dude in the background is like just going nuts.
yeah,
The Kitchen Finks creature type is an Ufe.
yeah.
Just like what?
And I know Graham has looked into an Ufe, but I looked into what Ufe is. I don't remember.
Probably
the
like some
folklore.
sort of folk bogart
yeah,
Is that how you
goblin-y thing.
pronounce that word?
Ufe. Yeah.
Ufe?
I think
I could
so.
have it wrong. It could be oof or oaf.
Or oaf.
But like this card,
Oop. Hey.
if you are in either of these colors, I encourage you to play Kitchen Finks. It's so good.
really,
Yeah.
really, really,
It is
really
one of those
good.
like cards that it's like I have to play this.
I pronounce it as oh fuck.
So Ufe is a small, often mischievous sprite, fairy, goblin, or elf.
in
So-
That's what I thought.
in European mythology, or
Probably.
Yes, it is considered an obsolete word. But
Okay.
it is the same. It is the same root as it's where oaf comes from.
Oh, neat. Okay.
No
Which-
way.
The other
oaf child or elf child is what it.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
weird.
Huh. And you're also playing one of the cards that I absolutely loathe.
Pack Rat. Pack Rat next to Monastery Mentor.
Yeah.
Next to Obsidat Ghost Council. This is the best $3
Big
mythic I've
Obsidaddy.
ever bought.
Yeah, Obsidaddy.
Obsidaddy's only $3.
He's $3, and he's
What?
so stupid powerful. Mm-hmm. This card is bananas.
Also, while we're on the topic, while we're looking at Obsidat, whose casting cost is 1, 2 white, and 2 black,
Yes.
why don't you talk a little bit about the color,
Oh, yes.
your mana base, and how you have pared this down based on
Oh
casting
boy.
costs?
This deck is basically like it's black, white, mid-range, splashing red.
Yeah.
There was previously no double red spells in the deck. There is now one with Chandra Pyromaster because I really want to try her because I think she's really, really strong.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mainly
I can't.
that she pseudo draws you cards through Spirit of the Labyrinth.
Yeah.
I'm stoked about that. But yeah, it's all like so. I have a decent number of double white and a few double black. It's like the deck is white, then black, then red.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've done everything in my power to like keep costs low and easy to cast.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times, like the effect is so powerful that you just have to overlook the mana cost. It's like Lightning Helix. It's two colors at the same time. It's like it's so good.
Yeah. Well, so you've sacrificed a bit of power in order to ensure consistency,
Yeah, I mean,
so that you aren't doing like turn 2 him, turn 3 seismic assault, turn 4 Phyrexian
Obliterator.
Obliterator.
Yeah, that's where you start running into mistakes. It's like the double and triple. You can't play triple cost spells in a deck like that's 3 colors. Like you can't do it. Like blue green. Like Sorensen plays Cryptic Command because that card is so good.
Right.
That you just find the 3 blue.
And
Right.
you'll see other blue control decks will often put in Future Sight as well for the card advantage
but
it generates.
for the most part, you'd never want to be playing like something that's like color.
And this
Right.
is
In
a
a
great lesson for any
theoretic-
format when it comes to deck building and
Yeah.
the importance of when you want to play colors, understanding what a color contributes to it and what can your mana base support. And I find it I love to deck brew, and I'm often very liberal with my color selection. I don't try and restrict myself in any way, which I probably should, because the same night that Alex did quite well, I did miserably. But you're never truly a 3-color deck, and if
Right.
you are, there's probably an issue. And then what you normally want to do is, like Alex said, go through it and figure out what your base color is, and then start paring it down. And then that way you can make your mana base as easy as possible. The other thing that's important is to figure out when you want a color to appear.
Yeah, like you have to
Right.
assess. It's like, okay, what are my 1-drops? What color are my 1-drops?
So I want
what
your
color are my
hand
2-drops?
attack. I always want to have access to black turn 1, because if I have Thoughtseize in hand but I can't to cast it until turn 4, pardon me, its value goes down tremendously. So it's that type of evaluation when you're figuring out how much mana of a certain color to do, and it's not always as simple as looking and doing the math of how much a symbol appears, but also when you need to have that color by.
Yeah, it's like when I'm playing, I have to find black and or white first, then worry about red, unless I have like some urgent need to hit red straight off the bat. And even then, like my mana base is built to support the 3 colors. Although in Highlander, your mana base is its own challenge. Like
Yep.
choosing like how much fixing you have versus like how much game you have against like hate for that.
Right.
So,
So
the first version of this list played all non-basics. Like there was 3 basics in the deck, I think. And
That was mainly to avoid getting valued out by path, I assume.
well, you always want to have basics, because path sucks for you. But the deck folded so hard to back to basics. Like
Yeah.
that card just like click,
your deck
I don't
is
get
now
to play
turned off.
Magic anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get to play Magic anymore.
Back to
And
basics and Price of Progress.
Price of Progress is also really harsh.
And then Blood Moon, and then Magus of the
Yeah,
Moon.
Blood Moon,
Those are sort of
Magus of the Moon.
classic.
What about
And-
Anathemancer?
that doesn't really
I've
get
never
so much
seen,
play.
I've never
Okay,
seen
really?
it play. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm not even really familiar with that card. What's an Anathemancer?
It's one-sided Price of Progress for 1 damage. It's a creature. It's kind
Really?
of sweet. But yeah, these cards exist in the format, and I think it's very healthy that they do exist, because that's what keeps the metagame fresh. Is greedy mana bases are punished.
Yeah.
So you, being the person with the 3-color deck, need to make certain assessments and sacrifices. So you need to keep your number of duels down and like add more basics. So it's like if you are in a matchup where you're like they're on Price of Progress or Blood Moon or Back to Basics, you're like, I need to play around this. So I
Right.
get like 1 duel, and then I try to hit basics the rest of the game.
Okay.
I remember watching you play the tournament on Monday when Nick resolved Back to Basics against you, and you already had 2 basics in hand, and then drew a third off.
That
the
was
top,
really funny. I was
and
like,
you were just
haha,
fine.
idiot.
And the neat part was you hadn't played any yet, so he was looking at a board with 4 non-basics on it, and was
Right.
like, "Oh, my opponent's screwed." Yes,
Yeah,
and then
just won the
played
game
it.
here.
Played it while he
Fooled
had
you.
3 tapped, and then Alex goes basic planes, and Nick's like, "Oh man, okay." And then second basic planes, he's like, "What?" He got upset because he was all in that, and then
The only time you see your opponent reach across the table to read a basic plane.
and I was standing behind Alex, and in his hand, not only did he have Wear and Tear, which is effectively Disenchant but better, he also had Council's Judgment. So he had 2 answers to it. And I'm like, oh, poor Nick.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's weird because you have to play this balance between like being able to cast your spells reliably and not dying to hate. Which is what like part of what makes deck building so interesting.
Yeah.
It's because of like, do I want to play, all these filter lands and
An important thing to note about our Highlander community is, although we do best of 3, we don't have a sideboard.
Right.
So understanding the metagame before you go in is a very important part of winning. I've heard it described that winning requires 3 things. You have to play tight, you have to be extremely lucky, and you have to guess the metagame correctly before you show
yeah.
up.
Well, I remember Ben Wheeler talking about like, oh, this is he's feeling it in his bones that this is the week to sleeve up Silver Knight.
Yeah, I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna show up with White Weenie, and I'm gonna put. I understand red is going to show up, so I'm going to put my core Fire Slinger in there. And normally it'd be
Core
terrible, but if I run into 2 Goblin players, they can't beat this card.
Yeah. Or Core Firewalker.
Core Firewalker, pardon me. Yeah.
Oh,
It's-
sorry to make this about me. Did I tell you about the time that I stormed out in Modern Storm through 2 Core Firewalkers?
That's pretty hot.
No. I mean, it's not to say that Core Firewalker is unbeatable, but it makes it tough. Like,
Yeah.
you have to
It's
work
really
for it.
backbreaking. But
Um,
it's interesting because like in every other matchup that's not red, this guy's a donkey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a 2-2
He does
for
nothing.
2.
So
yeah,
you have
a
this
2/2, a bear that's harder to cast.
Harder
Yeah.
to cast, yeah.
Yeah, you have this weird, again, dilemma between like playing hate to shore up matches you might be weak against, or like just playing value. I skew a lot more on the value end. Like I don't play any specific like deck hate cards. I just tried to play as like
Generalized
high,
hate.
generalized, dense like value as possible because like hand attack pretty good against everybody, burn spells pretty good against everybody, and then just like value town all day.
I
Yeah.
will admit that I have sleeved up Choke. I have put
Choke
I have
has been
gone,
played before.
I have gone into a tournament with Choke in my deck, knowing full well that I'm going to
yeah.
ruin somebody's day.
I've seen choke. I've seen boil. Some people just
some red decks will play Red Elemental Blast,
Right.
and they just know that
Good old red.
I will encounter a blue spell that I do not want to have resolved.
I don't think anybody's played flash fires. I mean, I
No.
guess White Weanie's not that great.
Yeah, or
but
there's
could.
no karma.
Yeah.
There's no
Right.
not pacifism, conversion. Like not too many hate cards.
Yeah, it's like
are in
generally
there.
speaking, people unless they're certain it's going to be a big problem in the tournament scene, they will not usually put
Okay.
these kind of like specific hate cards in.
Okay, and one last thing I want to talk about in your deck, and this is a very personal thing. What are your basics?
What am I, oh what?
Which basics are you running?
Well, let's see. I have Young Hao Han
Return to
Return to
Ravnica.
Ravnica basics.
All right.
which I like them.
Okay.
If I had
I'm all Ice Age, all classic Ice Age basic lands in all of my
All right.
decks, except
So,
for
like-
swamps, which in case I go for the Odyssey one that has the picture of the Lotus.
Yeah, if I had the money for it, which I don't presently, I would change these all to full art unhinged.
Okay, right.
Is
Yeah,
that the full
with
border?
the elaborate border.
But so no, wait, no, the simple ones.
Oh, okay.
I
okay,
can
yes.
I always get unhinged and unglued mixed up.
Right.
It's the ones that I like. Where's my mountain?
And you are both incorrect because the correct basics to play are the chippy Esper-themed Shards
yeah,
of Alara.
no, you're right. But like, I really love the cities that he does.
Oh, yeah.
with
No,
this stuff.
his limited palettes are really nice.
Yeah. Also,
Oh, Onslaught Swamps, not
Onslaught
not
Swamps.
Odyssey. Pardon me.
there's a lot of
Alright.
like. there is a lot of like deck pimping that goes on in this format. It's like you have players foiling out their whole
Yes,
list, and
you have actually explicitly unfolded.
I have unfoiled this whole thing because I came to the discovery at one point that was like, I don't actually like foils that much, and it's just like a gigantic cost on top of a deck that's already
Add
kind of
50%,
pricey.
if not sometimes.
I think it doesn't.
Double or triple.
I like
Yeah.
it. It's got a really like nice, clean, matte finish, and like the colors, like the way this deck looks, just riffling through it, I think is really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I am like I've also gone with like OG printings wherever possible.
Yeah.
Right.
Like my
Yeah.
Duras from what was it? Urza's.
That's Urza's Destiny.
Yeah, Urza's Destiny. I have collector's edition Lightning Bolt and
Demonic Tutor
Swords
as
to
well.
Plowshares.
Oh, and,
Right.
and swords, yeah.
Because like, as much as I would like a beta copy of those cards, it's prohibitively expensive. So I can just get a collector's edition card, which
right,
is
and
allowed
then
in
no
our
one
format.
knows that you're not playing the correct Lightning Bolt, as I've been told. The only Lightning Bolt printing that is legal in any format is the Beta Bolt.
It's true. I do the same thing for my original duels. So
All right. Well, I think that probably wraps us up here.
play Highlander.
Play
Yeah.
Highlander.
So, do we do the Patreon talk now? All right. So if you enjoy what you're seeing here, please consider supporting Loading Ready Run at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. All these podcasts, TapTapConcede, and
Lurcast.
Lurcast, which is another thing we do that I'm familiar with, is supported directly through our Patreon. So please consider supporting us there.
Hurrah! Well, until next time, thank you, Serge, for joining us.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's my
thank you very
pleasure.
much,
Thanks for
Serge.
having me.
And yeah.
We'll
until
leave you
then-
with some links to check out these lists and the format
Yeah.
because it's super sweet. So good.
All right. Goodbye, everyone, and we will see you next week.